What is up, Drum Alert Nation? I'm your host, Killer Keemstar. Let's get right into the news. Who is Jake Paul fighting next? We got some insider information. Bro, I got some stuff. Also, the love triangle between Bryce Hall, Addison Rae, and the rapper Jack Harlow. We're gonna tell you what's poppin'. And they locked the homie up, Kyle from Nelk. We got a ton of YouTube boxing news. EDP 445 is finished. We got that for you. A bunch of TikTokers signed a major Netflix deal. And today, David Dobrik is back in the news. He's trending because of the accident that happened with Jeff from the Vlog Squad. I reached out to Jeff. I got a statement. We got all this for you today. It's a big show. But before we jump into it, make sure you're subscribed with those notifications on because you don't want to miss a thing. You know, when I get the scoop, I'm going to keep you in the loop. For our very first story, Bryce Hall, Addison Rae had a very public relationship and a very public breakup. However, since they broke up, they've been hanging out with each other like all the time. Did they really break up? Well, now it seems like Addison has moved on to someone else. That's right, because at the Jake Paul versus Ben Askren pay-per-view, Addison was with Jack Harlow. The internet detectives saw this picture of Jack Harlow and Pete Davidson and saw a hand on Jack Harlow, realized it was Addison Rae's hand. Now listen, Bryce Hall found out about this and he went off on Twitter. He said, "I'm about to explode. Telling me you love me and then sneaking around with someone else? That hurts. I feel like such an idiot." Now listen, when I see this going on, man, I got on the phone, I started calling the contacts, I started calling the people close to the situation, and I was being told that it is true that Addison Rae and Jack Harlow are dating, seeing each other. I don't know the correct terms. They're not boyfriend and girlfriend, but you know. So I put out a tweet basically saying that the Addison Rae, Jack Harlow thing is, it's real. It's a real thing. Addison Rae responded, "I'm single." But what I do know is going on is that a bunch of other TikTokers, you know, the Hype House, they just signed a Netflix deal. That's right, Alex Warren from the Hype House put out this on Instagram saying Hype House is coming to Netflix. Cool. Also in the news, Mom's Basement, my podcast with FaZe Banks. We had Rice Gum on the show. It just came out, and during the show, during the recording, all of a sudden, we found out in real time that Kyle from Nelk got arrested. So we called Steve. We got a statement from Steve. Like, it's literally on the podcast. It's wild. Apparently, Kyle was dressed up like a security guard trying to pull a prank, and Texas was not having it, and they arrested him. Now, he is out on like $700 bond, but this has to be like the 20th time the Nelk boys have been arrested. Also in the news, Jake Paul versus Ben Askren. Here is the aftermath. We all know that Dana White was publicly saying he put $1 million bet on it. Snoop Dogg said, "I will bet $2 million." So people were wondering, is Dana White really paying Snoop Dogg $2 million? Dana White said in an interview that he never bet $2 million with Snoop Dogg over the Jake Paul versus Ben Askren fight, and that would be an illegal bet. So he's not paying Snoop. But if you want to know who is getting paid, Jake Paul. This is insane. Jake Paul versus Ben Askren is the 10th grossing pay-per-view of all time. Now listen, guys, the numbers are still updating, and last I heard it was 1.6 million, which would bring this up to the 6th highest grossing pay-per-view of all time. And here, ladies and gentlemen, is what you need to understand. If Jake Paul is bringing in this many pay-per-view buys, that means he has a realistic opportunity right now to fight notorious Conor McGregor. Why? There's just so much money. Conor McGregor will get in a fight if there is this much money on the line. Now, before this pay-per-view sells, obviously Jake Paul is looked at like a joke. But bringing in this much money, I mean, we are talking about a real possibility between Conor McGregor and Jake Paul. And I have heard through the grapevine, through my sources, that both of the teams, Jake Paul's and Conor McGregor, are talking to each other. This thing might actually happen. But if it doesn't, who else would Jake Paul fight? I present to you Onision. Roll it.
Onision challenged Jake Paul to a boxing match. He could use the PR boost, I think, fighting me. I'm pretty indisputably more hated than pretty much anyone on the internet let's get in the ring, and let's make you a hero. Unless, of course, you're afraid you'll lose. In which case, I understand if you don't want to do it.
That's never gonna happen, but if it did, I would pay to see that one. But also, the fight we all want to see is Jake Paul versus KSI. We all want to see this fight. And Joe Weller talked about this on his podcast, that KSI is actually training.
He's training, and I've heard he's training with some serious people.
Ooh.
Yeah, so...
But how long's he been doing that?
You can't catch him.
Let me... With some serious people, like top-level pros. I don't think KSI would be putting himself in a position and commenting on Jake Paul fighting Ben Askren.
Whoa! Now, I've reached out to KSI, and I've been trying to get some information, and he ain't telling me anything, so I am just going to have to speculate here, but I'm pretty sure KSI is negotiating with Jake Paul's team too, because why else would who's he training for? Who is KSI training for, right? That's my boy, and he ain't saying anything to me, so something's up. But speaking about YouTube boxing, I told you guys that, hey, look, this Gibb versus Taylor Holder thing might be happening, and it is. Gibb announced that he did in fact sign a fight contract, and the announcement is Friday. It's versus Taylor Holder on the YouTuber versus TikToker match. It just got leaked that Mayweather versus Logan Paul is gonna happen on June 5th. And speaking about Logan Paul and Taylor Holder, oh, there's a problem there, because Taylor Holder's ex-girlfriend is now dating Logan Paul. That's right, Taylor Holder's ex-girlfriend, Charlie, they just broke up, right? Has been posting a lot of pictures of her hanging out with Logan Paul. When I'm being told they're doing a little bit more than hanging out. And speaking about hanging out, EDP445 decided to go hang out with a 13-year-old who he met online. When he went to go visit the 13-year-old, he was surprised by some pea hunters. And when they questioned him, like, why are you coming here to meet up with a 13-year-old girl? He said, honestly, I was just coming to get a cupcake. She said she made me a cupcake. Eventually, in this 55-minute footage, EDP admits to everything. It's horrible, it's gross, it's disgusting. Like I said in the last Drum Alert, the guy deserves jail. Like, he needs to be in, something is clearly wrong. And for those of you that don't know, EDP is 30 years old, going to meet a 13-year-old. Like, it's case closed, done. And speaking about 13-year-old girls, Little Tay posted that we have bad news about Tay on Instagram. Let's hope that these two stories are not related, but they did not follow up with any new information, so it's unclear on what's going on with Little Tay. And ladies and gentlemen, for our final story, Jeff from the Vlog Squad. He had this accident. Something happened to his eye. He came out with this documentative series, and it's like really good on YouTube. Part 2 came out last night, How I Broke My Face. Do not try this at home. Finally, what we find out is that David Dobrik was in this excavator, swinging Jeff around from a string. And listen, guys, David is going really fast, swinging this around. I mean, Jeff is flying, and then David just stops the excavator, causing Jeff to smack into the excavator. And that causes him to nearly go blind. So look, it's been trending all day, David Dobrik. Everyone's saying he's a horrible person, that he did this to Jeff. I mean, clearly it was an accident, but still, he was very careless. I reached out to Jeff today to ask him if he's still friends with David Dobrik. Jeff responded by saying, yeah, we're good. The rest of the series will show him coming along and supporting me in the hospital, but I had to rush this video out because I was being blackmailed by people that had the footage. If I didn't release it myself, then they would control the narrative, my life, altering the story. Couldn't live with that, and I wanted people to get the true story. And look, I can't send you the rest of the conversation I had with Jeff, but Jeff basically told me that there was a family friend there at the shooting of this stunt, and they basically went to Jeff saying, look, I got the footage and I'm going to release it unless you send me $40,000. So he was legitimately being black. And I must say, without having all the details, but just based on what I know, this person is a scumbag. I mean, This horrible thing happened to Jeff, and now he's being blackmailed on top of it. Like, whoever this individual is, they're just a horrible human. But on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna have to end it right there. Make sure you take the time to slap a like on this video. That's how I know you're digging the vids, right? Leave a comment down with your thoughts on these stories. I spend like 3 hours reading comments. I want to know what you think. And also, if you're not subscribed, make sure you are, because you guys know as soon as I get the scoop, I'm gonna keep you in the loop.